Namaskara. Welcome to Movement Nuances series. Our guest today is Shri Manish Maharaj from Durban, South Africa. This is the first segment of a series of talks with him. Based in Durban, South Africa, Manish Maharaj is a celebrated Kathakar whose mesmerizing display of Kathak has won him wide acclaim from critics and connoisseurs both locally and abroad. He honors the role of a soloist with the utmost respect, discipline, and devotion. His thought-provoking concepts and engaging performances transcend barriers and convention and are infused with a universal appeal. As an ambassador of an ancient classical tradition, Manish is a firm believer in the now, connecting his artistic creations with anyone who shares a natural empathy for life. A graduate of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Mumbai, Manish spent several years undergoing training in Hindustani Shastriya Sangeet. Manish is also the senior disciple of the legendary Kathak Guru, late Sushri Madhurita Sarang, with whom he trained in Kathak under the Guru Shishya Parampara. He is presently the artistic director of Kala Darshan Institute of Classical Music and Dance, focusing on the preservation and advancement of Indian classical music and dance in South Africa. Manish offers his students and audiences a rare spiritual experience through his passion for the performing arts of India. His innovative work enriches the cultural soil of South Africa as he continues to expand this influence and spread his style of Kathak to an international audience.
Namaste. Welcome to Movement Nuances series. I'm very happy that you have joined us here today. And with regard to movement nuances, like you know, there is such more detail than the eye needs when we as a performer or as a teacher are working in whatever style of dance. And with your expertise in Kathak, so I would be very happy if you could share your thoughts and your insights regarding your experience in the medium of Kathak, and also your experience in terms of collaborating with other artists, teaching, choreography, performances.
Namaste, Chitra. Firstly, let me just say it's such a pleasure and honor to be on this program, Movement Nuances interactive series, and allow me to commend you on doing such a brilliant job. Keep up the good work. Coming back to your question, I think for me as a Kathak artist based in South Africa, the community and the environment definitely has an impact on my repertoire, my content, how I teach and what I present, you know. So basically the South African Indian community has been in South Africa now for approximately 160 years. It is a community that is steeped in their culture, in their religion, and they have a very close affinity to one religious organization or the other, be it the Divine Life, the Chinmaya Mission, the ISKCON, what have you, you know. And because of this, the sacred in dance has played a very important role with regards to my approach to choreography. Now, we all know that I think you would agree with me on this, that from all the Indian classical dance forms, Kathak is the most secular in its approach, you know. We all know we start off with the invocatory item where we invoke the blessings of our Ishtadev. And then after that, the bulk of the performance is Shuddha Nritta, you know, most of it is abstract. And then some Abhinay piece will come, and then pure dance again in the form of Tarana, Sargam, concluding with Tatkar. So 70% and upwards is Nritta based, right? So within the South African context is, a lot of my audience members, 90% of them is from the Indian community. And as I said, they go to these ashrams and they're very religiously inclined. They want to see the deities on stage, you know, in their full glory. So they request the Shiva pieces, the bigger pieces, not that they don't appreciate Shuddha Nritta, but I found myself and my repertoire leaning more towards the sacred rather than the secular. So that's a major change that has taken place in my approach to my repertoire, my performances, and even my teaching, because the students that come to me request this item. Swamiji has asked this item for Krishna Ashtami. It's never Swamiji or the organization has requested Teen Tal or even a Tarana, you see. But within the syllabus itself, I do concentrate on the prescribed talas and all of that without, compromising on that. And it's a personal journey for everyone. Me personally, if it is my own production, which I've sort of, it's my thematic production, which I financed and I'm touring, that repertoire will be completely different. It is what I want to convey and share with the audiences, And within the South African community as well, there's somewhat of a divide between the amongst the linguistic groups, primarily between the North and South Indian communities, So this has now a ripple effect into the art forms. So if I had to give a Kathak performance, my audience would be predominantly North Indians that would come and support it, And coming from after my training in India and coming to this scenario, I said, why not use my art, as a medium to bridge the gap and sort of break down these walls, which is so unnecessary. So just a few years back, I did a performance called Tridhara, where I used a mridangam player, within the Kathak ensemble, And whatever I danced, all the traditional bandishes, the parans, parmelus, which are very different from the Carnatic, rhythm section, the calculations and all of that, because these are traditional bandishes that we learn over time. So he had to basically sit with me, learn all the structures of the bandishes and sort of play it with me. I did have a tabla player as well. So everyone was sort of very curious to know, what is this mridangam player going to do in a Kathak recital? Let us go and watch. And because of this curiosity, I was so happy to know that we had a mixed audience of North and South Indian people, and whatever was on stage basically reflected in the audience. And that was exactly what I wanted to achieve. And on a personal note, for me as a creator, as a choreographer, I like, at least now, I like stepping out of my comfort zone. They say you grow when you're out of the comfort zone. So what I did in this particular production was I completely minused the singer, which is such an integral part in the recital, For the first time I spoke to my percussionist and I said, if there's any bhava that needs to be created, you need to create it through the percussion instruments, which is not easy to do, to create the different bhavas. But in a way, they understood the concept. And for example, if we had a vandana, and if I chose one of the vandanas, be it say Angikam Bhuvanam Yasya, we use that as the opening piece, and then after that we move with the traditional Kathak repertoire. So I don't have a singer. So what do we do with this vandana? How do we present it? So I got my percussionists, as they're playing it on the drums, to recite it as a kavito, as a chand. The same Angikam Bhuvanam Yasya which we sing. So I'll just give you a quick demonstration. So there's the bandish. I sort of structured it to fit within the framework of Chotal. So every tal that we have, whether it's Teen Tal, Jhap Tal, we've got a structured version of Angikam Bhuvanam Yasya within the tal. So it would go something like this. Da da din ta ita da din ta ita ka taga gina Angikam Bhuvanam Yasya Vachikam Sarva Vangmayam Aharyam Chandratara Ditam Numa Satvikam Shivam Tadha Satvikam Shivam Tadha Satvikam Shivam Tadha Angikam Bhuvanam Yasya Vachikam Sarva Vangmayam Aharyam Chandratara Ditam Numa Satvikam Shivam Tadha Satvikam Shivam Tadha Satvikam Shivam Tadha Angikam Bhuvanam Yasya Vachikam Sarva Vangmayam Aharyam Chandratara Ditam Numah Satvikam Shivam Tadha Satvikam Shivam Tadha Satvikam Shivam Tadha So something like that, you know. Obviously on stage this would traverse, so I'm keeping everything small. But that is how we sort of filled the gap when we needed to use Sahitya. We presented it like this. So that was, as I said, one way of getting out of the comfort zone. Even when we did the storytelling, it was completely with percussion instruments. We had a lehra, but I could not afford. It did a 5-city tour, so I could not keep a person, a physical person, with us. So believe it or not, we used an app from a phone, from an iPhone, which worked brilliantly. We just connected it to the main sound system, and that just worked brilliantly. In fact, people asked where was the sitar player, you know, but the tabla player was controlling the phone from very discreetly from the side. So, I mean, that's how we sort of work around finances and traveling and that kind of thing. The two major classical dance forms prevalent in South Africa are Bharatanatyam and Kathak, mostly Bharatanatyam. So I found myself working with a lot of Bharatanatyam dancers, you know, and one in particular, we share history in terms of traveling and touring together, and we've done so many performances, is Srimati Vrushka Patra. And she and I actually, we're touring with the performance which just got postponed, or it's just left hanging there because of COVID. You know, we were supposed to go to Germany and everything just came to a standstill with the lockdown. And we came up with this production called Poetry in Motion. So the purpose for this was, once again, to bring the communities together, but the higher purpose was to elaborate and expound on Sahitya, on poetry from different languages. And the reason for this is we noticed that here in South Africa, the languages, especially the younger generation, they're not familiar with the vernacular languages, even those that are learning dance. So as a teacher myself, I have to, before I even teach the movement language, I have to teach the word language, word for word, you know, and at the same time, it's not like English where they connect it directly with the first language, you know. If it is Hindi, they understand this word means that, but that connection is somewhat compromised also, you know, until you learn the language itself. So that's what we wanted to bring out in the production. And one of the pieces is quite cute. You might be knowing this piece. It's a Marathi abhang, Rusali Radha Rusala Madhava. So for me now, this was new because it's Marathi. Although I lived in Bombay, for some reason I never imbibed Marathi, but it was new for me. It was new for me to connect with, and it was just taking me back. You know, I know a little bit of Marathi, but I cannot converse fluently, you know. But I'd like to, although it's a duet, I'll just show you a little piece as it's so cute. It's a dialogue between, or it just deals with Radha and Krishna. And once again, the scene is Radha has caught Krishna red-handed in the happy company of Gopikas, and she's very angry at him, you know. And you know, one way of us humans, even there's such a human quality to this, is if somebody is angry and you know you're guilty, so your way of retaliation is to be angry at that person, although you're not really angry, but you sort of retaliating in that way, that you're angry. So Krishna behaves that like he's angry at her as well. And because the protagonists are angry with one another, the whole of Gokul is in a mood. They are angry with the birds, the lovebirds, that, you know, exchange words and songs of love, are actually now exchanging harsh words. So we perform it as a duet, but I'm going to try my best to just give you a glimpse of what it looks like if I had to do it by myself. Rusali Radha Rusala Madhava Rusale Gokul Sare. Just this line, I'll try and elaborate on it. So Rusali Radha Rusala Madhava Rusale Gokul Sare. Rusali Radha Rusala Madhava Rusale Gokul Sare. Rusale Gokul Sare. Rusale Gokul Sare. Drusile, Gokul, Sare.
Thank you for watching this video. Follow us on Instagram for more updates. Make sure you like, share and subscribe to our channel.